Your reasons for listening to the show, well, those are your own. But just keep in mind that the views, information, or opinions expressed on the Tuddle Daily Podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of our sponsors. Yeah, it's called free speech, people. Nobody's forcing you to listen. One-of-a-kind shades made to order by VaporShades.com. Vapor Shades designs the outer layer of the sunglasses just like a wrap on a car. They customize your sunglasses, marbling the paint. The end result is no two pair of sunglasses are alike. Yours will be completely unique to you. Check us out at VaporShades.com. Use promo code Tuddle for 15% off your entire order. Get ready for your daily dose of Tuddle.
The all-time greatest intern/producer we've ever had, of course, Tuddle. Tuddle in Florida.
From the Vapor Shades Hobo Fish Camp, it's the Tuddle Daily Podcast.
Anarchy! Anarchy! Anarchy!
No wonder nobody likes you, Tuddle. Everything's a goddamn debate.
Welcome to another edition of the Tuddle Daily Podcast. Hope you guys are having a great day so far. I want to thank everybody that has been tuning in to my YouTube live streams every night at 7 p.m., Monday through Friday. Go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Tuddle. I've been doing about anywhere in between about a half hour to an hour. I had a guest on this week, Sirach. Check out his podcast, The Weekly Review. I'd like to hear from you. I want to start getting on some of my former coworkers, the ones that are willing to go on the air and do an interview with me. And I promise that it's going to be like a legitimate interview. I want to talk about what their radio career was like, what it is now, how much they evolved. I got to tell you, my dream guest would be Mr. Phillips. If I could get Jim Phillips on my podcast for an interview, I would be blown away. I would be honored. But I don't think he's going to do it. Jim Phillips is kind of like Johnny Carson was. Once Johnny Carson retired, he was gone. You never heard from him again. And that's kind of how Mr. Phillips has been. I think he maybe has done Tom and Dan a couple of times, but I would be honored. But I would like to hear from you. Who do you think I should have on the show? Any guest? I will interview anybody. I got a great interview coming up after the break with a guy by the name of Sean Boyle. I think he's in his early 20s, but he's a millionaire right now. And he specializes in social media stuff. So I wanted to pick his brain because look at me. I am 40, doing a podcast in a 2006 beat-up PT Cruiser at a place I call the Hobo Fish Camp. And he's half the age as me, and he's already accomplished more than I ever will in my whole entire life. So we're definitely going to get to that. But I would want to hear from you what guests you would like to hear. Tuddle@gmail.com, or you can leave me a voicemail, 407-270-3044. I don't like to hop on the viral video train, but that's the thing about social media. Whenever I do my show prep, I wake up in the morning and I see what's trending on Twitter. And I'm scrolling. Something catches my eye. Cat lawyer is trending. And I'm like, okay. Now, is this a lawyer that defends cats? Or is an actual cat that's a lawyer? I had to click on it. Now, they've been doing a lot of these hearings on Zooms. And they got those, like, weird filters and stuff. And this is an older gentleman, probably the first time he's ever used Zoom. But he has a cat filter on. Now, it is not one of those cartoonish looking cats. It's actually like a really good looking cat, but the eyes are moving around. I'm going to post this up on my social media, twitter.com/Tuddle, facebook.com/Tuddle, to be able to check it out. But the audio is just as good as the visual part.
Mr. Ponton, I believe you have a filter turned on in the video settings.
You know, the big swinging dick lawyer here in town. And I always forget that he is more national. But, man, John Morgan needs to jump on the cat lawyer train. I'm telling you, John Morgan's been doing these car talks lately. He went on this rant the other day about Arby's. I'm going to see if I can find that audio because I think this is brilliant, but John Morgan needs to do one of his commercials as cat lawyer.
You might want to take
we're trying to. Can you hear me, Judge?
I can hear you. I think it's a filter.
It is, and I don't know how to remove it. I've got my assistant here. She's trying to, but
I'm sure most people have already seen this video, but if you haven't, do yourself a favor. I mean, just listen to this guy's voice and then having the visual of a cat moving around. Well, not really moving, it's his eyes. And, like, you could tell that the lawyer's all nervous and everything, and the cat's eyes are, like, looking up in the top right-hand corner of his face. Yeah, it is classic. Go to my social media, twitter.com/Tuddle, Facebook, and just everything Tuddle, Instagram.com/Tuddle. Just go.
I'm prepared to go forward with it. I'm here live. I'm not a cat.
For the most part, the video is kind of corny, but the line of the day, the line of that whole video that saves it and makes it and kicks it up to the next level of classic viral videos. He tells the judge, I'm ready to proceed. I am not a cat.
I'm here live. I'm not a cat.
I can see that.
My biggest complaint about working in radio or broadcasting or even entertainment, it makes you very cynical. And I got to tell you, I would hope, I pray that this was sincere and real. But this lawyer, he is all over the place today. He was on Good Morning America. He was on the Today Show. And I got to tell you, this is like a bit or something that a morning show would do to try to garner attention. And I wouldn't put it past this guy. Either way, if he did set that up, it's kind of brilliant. Wish I would have thought of it. Now, how many years I've been struggling to make a name for myself. And this guy is a cat, has a cat filter going on, and drops the line, I'm not a cat, I promise, Your Honor. And now he's blowing up. He'll probably get all types of sponsorship deals. I'm sure, like, he'll be a spokesman for Zoom now. He'll probably be in the triple digits of followers on all of his social media. And then you got poor jobbers like myself that have to scratch and claw their way, write a lot of good stuff, come up with brilliant things to talk about. Yeah, we won't even come close to cat lawyer. It's a little depressing. And if I'm just being honest, before I said I hope it's sincere, I hope it really, really isn't. Because it's absolutely brilliant. I mean, the guy knows how to work if this was a work. If you've been listening to this podcast for any amount of time, you know that I think that pedophiles deserve a special place in hell. They really do. But I really don't believe in hell. But this next judge, I don't even know exactly where this is. I'm trying to stick with the theme of being in the courtroom, our legal system. But this judge cuts a promo after a pedophile. I think he was in charge of a daycare, which is even more sickening. But he ended up raping 2 children. I think one was 4 and the other was 6. And this judge comes out, cuts a rock-style promo on this pedophile, and pretty much throws the book at him. But I'll get into that and break down this audio. Just hear a little bit of it. A lot of people are going to say she's grandstanding. Who knows?
This court is so sick and tired of seeing adults ruin and abuse children. These are literally just one step from being babies.
You know who I would love this judge to actually be talking to? Because this pedophile, he's standing there and definitely looks like a pedophile. But I'm sure I look like a pedophile as well, too. So you really can't paint with a broad brush. But goddamn, what I would give if they had the Pope there in his Pope robe. Hell, I don't know. He doesn't even have to get out of the Pope mobile. I just would love for a judge to read the Riot Act and finally make the Catholic Church pay for the atrocities that they have committed against kids for hundreds of years. Hell, you know what? It might have been going back thousands of years. Who the fuck knows?
They come to a daycare. Those parents struggle so that when they release their children to someone during the day, they have some semblance that that child is going to be protected and safe.
All right, so here's the big question. How did they find out that this guy was doing this to the kids? Did the kids, like, go home, maybe had said some things? Because at that age, kids really don't know what's going on. I know a lot of parents, never let a stranger touch you, stranger danger. But if the parents were the ones that found out, seriously, as a father, as a man, what would you do? Seriously, because there's two ways you could look at it. I would not blame a father for getting a gun and basically not even lubing up the barrel, okay? Taking the barrel of the gun, sticking it in his asshole, and pulling the trigger. And I'm not talking like birdshot. I'm talking Buck, Shot, Jones, all day. I don't even go to the authorities. But maybe death. Death might be a little too easy for him. Because guess what? When he's dead, he's not going to know he's dead. He really isn't. That's why I say, send them to prison. And I'll get into why and the circumstances of what you do to them when they get in prison. But I'm going to let this audio play a little bit longer.
Not let alone 2 of their children being raped by your own admission, sir. For sexual gratification, you violated a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old.
Listen, guys, I'm not making excuses for pedophiles at all, but it is a sickness. I mean, there's no denying that, right? Anybody that is in their right mind, that is normal, would not do that. Like, how do you get turned on by a 4-year-old? Seriously. And how do the parts match up? I'm not trying to get graphic. I'm not trying to shock jock or anything, but seriously. How does that traumatize physically the kids and mentally? And this judge gets into that part. But this guy, he could give 2 fucks what this judge is saying. He's just like, all right, give me my time. I'm ready to go in. But, buddy, you got a lot of surprises coming. Because, yeah, in prison, there are a lot of bad people. But guess what? Even those bad people, they have a code of conduct. They have a hierarchy. And I think at the top of the list are pedophiles, people that commit crimes against kids. Yeah, jail's not going to be fun for you, buddy. I'm serious. It's going to be a living hell.
I do not know at this time what the total ramifications will be for those 2 young children, but there isn't anybody who doesn't understand now the developmental phases of children take place from 0 to 6 years old.
You know who I feel bad for? This judge's husband. I mean, as a husband of a judge, and women already, that frequency, guys get tired of it. I'm not saying, like, I don't condone, like, spousal abuse, but you have to admit, sometimes the woman's voice, it just drones on and on and on. It's like a white noise that makes you angry. But if you're the husband of this judge, like, seriously, how do you win any argument with her? Honey, you left the toilet seat up, and then the judge goes on like a 2-minute rant about how much of a horrible human being the husband is because he left the goddamn toilet seat up. It would drive me crazy.
You can't even know what damages you've done for sexual gratification. This, to me, is so mind-boggling that you used and abused 2 little children like they're inconsequential beings. Those are human persons with human dignity. The mere fact that they're small little people that can't fight off adults, that's why an adult left them with adults.
I know a lot of you guys are like, give them the death penalty right away. Give them the death penalty. No. People, the death penalty is not a deterrent. It's not. Because guess what? When you're dead, you don't know it. That's what I always tell people. Manson told me this. He's like, yeah, you're not going to know when you're dead. And it kind of makes sense because he brought up the point. He was like, do you remember before you were born? No, I really don't remember before I was born. So what I'm trying to say is, a life in prison. Yes, it costs money to be able to take care of these people, but life in prison is a bigger punishment than death. Like if they came to me and said, hey, maybe I don't know what crime, but say I got the death penalty. If I had my choice between life or death, give me death. Give me death all day. Let me take that long dirt nap, and I'm not even going to know it. But what needs to happen to this guy, like that judge said, these kids that could not fight him off, guess what, buddy? The roles are going to be reversed because you're going to be fighting off a lot of men. I hope that they put this guy in the biggest African-American gentleman's cellmate, and this guy is going to continuously rape him on a daily basis. He's going to be holding this guy's pockets the rest of his life. His asshole is going to look like the English Channel. Like, seriously. Shit is just going to fall out of his body. He's not even going to have to strain to poop anymore. That is justice for this pedophile. If I'm just being honest, don't kill him. Just use him as a sperm receptacle on a daily basis. And I think we can call it kind of even, Steven. And then when you wear that asshole out so much and you don't get any use for it, because it's like you got to strap a board onto your ass so you don't fall in, yeah, then maybe that's when you dispose of this piece of shit.
I'm going to tell you something, Mr. McFadden. There's no free rapes in my courtroom. On count 1, I'm sending you to prison for 11 years. On count 4, I'm sending you to prison for 11 years. They will be consecutive to each other for a total of 22 years.
Now, guys, earlier I said I hope that they put him in a cell with the biggest African-American that they could. I wasn't trying to be racist. No, I was actually kind of marking out to the African-American community because I want him to have a cellmate with the biggest dick imaginable. Like, I'm talking Mr. Marcus, any of those big swinging dick mandingos. I don't even know if I can even say that. I know that they did, but I'm just telling you right now, that's exactly what I was talking about. And now you're going to get 22 years. And if you get out, like, what type of shape does the anal ring, the anus? I mean, that's going to be like a piece of chewed up bubble gum that was stuck underneath of a table. I mean, you're going to snap those O-rings like it was the Challenger disaster. This guy is getting exactly what he deserves. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be like over dramatic, but death is the easy way out. Life in prison, more hell. He's not even getting life, but 22 years of just being gang raped. Yeah. You got what is coming to you, buddy. Gonna take a quick break. Be back in a few minutes with my interview with Sean Boyle. You are listening to the Tuddle Daily Podcast.
He's a nerd,
I've only been arrested one time.
a radio personality,
Professionally, I'm not in the best position that I've ever been in.
and hot talk satirizer.
You would think with everything that's going on, a Caucasian like myself wouldn't be able to randomly talk to an African American or a minority.
You're listening to the Tuddle Daily Podcast. Wish you could have just flown and had your vehicle arrive a day or two later so you can enjoy more time doing what's important to you? Well, you can. Just give Starfire Transport a call. Let the professionals do the driving while you're flying. Starfire Transport specializes in RV and auto transport. They'll also haul watercraft from boats to PWCs, cargo trailers, and more. Service available throughout the continental United States. So don't wait. Call Brian today at 574-349-4193 or 989-751-6106 for your next move. 10% off for veterans past or present. Also, make sure to tell them Tuddle sent you for an additional discount. That's Starfire Transport. Do you have something you want to say?
Hey, what kind of preacher is you?
Leave Tuddle a voicemail.
Cause you're kind of ignorant.
Especially if you think he's being an asshole.
No nigga, bitch.
Will your hurtful comments offend Tuddle?
No, baby.
Call the show at 407-270-3044.
No, baby.
Welcome back to the Tuddle Daily Podcast. This is an interview that I've been looking forward to. And I know I say this all the time because, you want to be honest, I'm kind of like trying to pump up the egos of the guests that I have on. I'm not saying they have egos, but I'm just trying to get on. Yeah. See, look at him. He's even flexing. You know what? Screw it. Sean, what's up? Sean Boyle is on with me. Sean, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic, my man. Thank you for having me on.
Now, I find you very intriguing, very interesting, because how old are you? You know what? I always say this to women. It's never polite, but you're a guy. You know what? F it. I'm going to say, how old are you, buddy?
And this PC culture, you're kidding me? I'm so offended. No, I'm kidding. But, yeah, I just turned 23, man. My birthday's in July, so 23, Jordan year.
Do you realize, like, you kicked me in the balls through Zoom or right now? Like, seriously, you did. You're 23. I just turned 40, and I'm now just getting how to figure things out, per se, what I'm trying to say. Now, you're at 23. A lot of people see what you've accomplished. And before we get into that and before you answer, I want to plug everything that's going on. Should people my age be discouraged when they look at somebody that is 23 that has been able to accomplish what you have so far? And before you answer, my buddy Sean Boyle, and I'm already saying buddy because I want to be your bud. I want to be your bud. Where can people check out your podcast? I know you're doing a podcast and all the content you have online.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can just simply go to SeanBoyle.com. You have all my socials on there, my company, podcast, all the content that you need. SeanBoyle.com.
Now, Sean, just to let you know, I'm looking the way you're dressed. Where are you? Are you in PA? Because I think yeah.
Oh, is it a PA thing? You coming out? No, I'm kidding.
No. I'm not saying the way you're dressed. You're just dressed with layers. Because I got to tell you, if I'm being honest, I'm in Florida. This is the first time I have worn a shirt all day.
God bless. We're in Florida.
Central Florida. Like, you would not know the town, but I would say a little bit south of Daytona Beach. But I've worked in broadcasting Daytona Beach, Orlando, Tampa. So I've worked that I-4 corridor.
How you feel about Brady getting you that Super Bowl, huh?
I grew up a Miami Dolphins fan, and Dan Marino. Dan Marino never got that championship, but I still think he's one of the greatest quarterbacks. And it's weird, when he was playing in the NFL, it was a running league. Now it's pass. And now I got to admit, what Brady winning another Super Bowl with another team that had not been to the Super Bowl or the playoffs in 15 years in a different conference. Yes, he is the GOAT. He is. I mean, there's no denying it.
You can't deny it. And, as an Eagles fan, obviously we got one over on him. So I was kind of rooting for him just to see greatness. But
yeah,
at the end of the day, man, like to answer your original question, yeah, I'm from Philly. It's so funny you mentioned Daytona Beach too, because I'm going to be going down there in, I think, a couple of weeks. Today's the 9th. So yeah, I'm going to be going down there.
Daytona 500's coming up this weekend. Have you ever been to the Daytona 500?
I've never been, but my good friend Alex, who she's definitely listening right now, and she went to school with me. She actually works there at the facility. She's all around the cars, all around the drivers, and she essentially takes people on these in-person tours and says, get a suite, get this. It's the best job in the world.
It is. Now, Sean, you're a businessman. Think about this. A lot of people don't realize this. I grew up around NASCAR. You look at all the sports that are out there, they're owned by all the teams, right? I mean, it's like a group of people. They make decisions. Do you realize that NASCAR is the only sport that is owned by one entity, which is the France family. You being a business guy, I mean, that's some pretty good leveraging power, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, it's like if Goodell was to own, all the football teams. If
Yeah.
what I was gonna say, Adam Silver owning all the NBA. I mean, it's a conglomerate at the end of the day. So it's something where I think, in my opinion, and a lot of others, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to break your heart, but the NASCAR popularity, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but at least for me, I grew up watching, the Jimmy Johnsons of the world, the Tony Stewarts of the world.
Yeah, of course.
And I loved them, man. I really did. But as time grew on, I just, for some weird reason, I just got out of touch with that sport. And I feel like a lot of people are getting out of that too. I don't know.
No. I agree with you. I mean, I grew up in the same county as the world's most famous track. I mean, it's debatable. Everybody says Indianapolis is the most popular track, but Daytona is pretty big as well too. And I agree. It has definitely dropped off. Now, I want to get into this, okay? I've been trying to, a year and a half ago, it's been over a year since I've been on broadcast radio, and a lot of the content that I'm doing is podcasting. I'm doing social media. I've always had a little bit of a bigger social media following just because of my time on the radio. And I used to be one of those guys that was like, oh, podcasting is for people that can't be on the air. They can't do broadcasting. But now, like, I've gotten into it. I've been doing it almost a year now. I went on like a 5-month run where I did a podcast every single day. What does it take to get ahead online? Because it frustrates me that I work tirelessly writing things, coming up with content, preparing, and then I see people just with the most random BS get thousands and thousands of hits.
It's the entertainment business at the end of the day. And that's something that I didn't necessarily understand. I mean, you look at the WWE, you look at The Rock, Ric Flair, you look at all these wrestlers. And what was the one thing that they could do to capture attention was entertain. And that's such a cliche thing to say. But in today's day and age with podcasting, you have to think, regardless of what you're talking about, you could be looking at my spotted wall over there that I need to go paint. If I'm a genuine, passionate painter and I can formulate and tell a story around that, people are going to listen. And the thing that I realized really quickly is not only am I going to get decent listeners, but I'm also going to get guests that genuinely are going to come to me instead of me constantly reaching out.
Let me ask you about this, okay? So working in radio, we always interviewed celebrities. They might not be A-listers, they might be B or C, but even the B and C aren't being real. They're not telling you what's really going on because they want to control the narrative, okay? Now, since I've been doing this podcast, I get more enjoyment of talking to someone like yourself because I know you're being real. I talked to a guy yesterday that wrote a book. He had a bad breakup in a relationship, and he wanted to go to 6 different countries. He wanted to go to those countries and partake in the drugs that they were known for. Like he went to Colombia and he did Colombian cocaine and stuff. That is the type of people that I want to talk to. People that are being real and honest.
Yeah, raw, gritty. Exactly. Yeah, there's no fabrication. I mean, and here's the funny thing too is you'll see, I know exactly what you're talking about. But especially in today's day and age, man, especially online, you'll see people with hundreds of thousands of bought followers on Instagram that are pushing some bullshit method, bullshit just service, whatever you want to call it, company. And it's a shame because I've always been the guy who's been legitimate. I mean, I'll tell you a quick story. So my old man, you've seen the movie Wolf of Wall Street. Everyone's seen it.
Okay. Yeah.
So my dad was essentially a step below that. All right. So he worked in a
So
broken-
so he would have been like Jonah Hill,
Exactly.
to what Jordan Belfort was, played by Leonardo DiCaprio.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So he would have been his Diamond Donnie Azoff to Jordan Belfort.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I get a call when I'm in high school. I'm like a senior. I'm driving my dad's car. He has a nice convertible BMW at the time. And, I literally took it to school, went back. I was one of those kids who I just, honestly, with my dad's prowess, I had the confidence to do whatever the fuck I wanted to. And that was something, privilege, whatever. But at the end of the day, I got a call and he said, "Hey, we have to talk about something." And I go, "Okay, like, what are we going to talk about?" And he's never really come, like, again, my dad is a very pompous type character where he's it's hard for him to get grounded. You know what I mean? Because he's so just has so many different layers going on.
Yeah, no, so I don't mean to interrupt because I want to hear the rest of this. So what is it like? Okay, so your dad compared to my dad, okay? Your dad probably was up here and my dad's a little bit down here, but that doesn't make your dad any better than mine because my dad worked as hard as yours, okay?
Sure.
How is it being the son of somebody that pulled theirself up by their bootstraps, made something of theirself? Is there an expectation, a little bit of pressure that comes with that?
So what I was going to say is he's currently in prison.
Oh, okay.
So,
I mean, listen, no judging. I'm not judging. There's a lot of people in prison. Listen, there's a lot of people that aren't in prison that need to be in prison. So what I'm trying to say is, so I mean, are you comfortable talking about that? Like,
sure, yeah. So what I was going to say is he was in prison. He's still in prison. He's actually getting out in a month, which is pretty funny. But
yeah,
essentially, I feel an obligation to myself to become great. I had a really rough childhood. As much as what
do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean by tough childhood? I mean,
my God, dude! I had a period
detail?
of time where within 6 months I lost half of my family, whether it was cancer, whether it was alcohol withdrawal. A lot of it was cancer. I'd say about 90% of it was cancer. Family fights, just money problems, just a boatload of stuff that for a 6-7-year-old kid growing up, I wasn't necessarily, obviously I wasn't accustomed to that, but it was hard to really grow from that and learn.
Okay, so I'm glad you bring that up. I went through childhood trauma, okay? And there's different types of childhood trauma. A lot of people don't realize growing up as a kid, those are the years you're a sponge. I mean, you're just taking in everything. And you being around the death, the just BS per se. I mean, that had to kind of shape you a little bit, but a lot of people would let them bring them down going through that type of stuff. What was different with you that you were able to overcome all that stuff at a young age?
That's a great question, and that's something that I'm not entirely sure, because I really try to reminisce and think about when times were. I mean, times are still. I mean, we have COVID going on, a lot of things going on. Still, we have family problems like going on right now. But to have that resiliency is something kind of majestic, right? If you can really think about it, because as the saying goes, if you hang out with 5 idiots, you're going to be the 6th one, right? If you hang out with 5 millionaires, you're going to be the 6th one. So I was always hanging around, in my mind, people that I genuinely cared about. But it turns out that no, I was hanging with bad characters that weren't helping me and helping to aspire. And I don't know. I don't. It's really weird, because you would have looked at my life and said, "Oh, he's just going to be another nobody." But I think it was just
he's going to live off of his dad's success. He's going to be a trust fund baby or something.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And I didn't want to be any of those things. I wanted to earn it for myself, because I would genuinely appreciate it more rather than just having it spoon fed to me. And I think a lot of people get this misconception. They love to say that, they love to say it, but in terms of, true entrepreneurship, when something hits you in the face and you need to react to it, that's when, shit gets real, and not a lot of people can handle that. But I think honestly, man, I've always had a compass that points north, whether it's generally trying to help people and aspiring to be, the most optimized version of myself, spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, everything. Right. And it's not been an easy road for any stretch of the imagination, but it's that constant growth. It's that constant, long-term mentality where it's not going to happen in a day. It's not going to happen in a month. It's not even going to happen in a year, but over the course of days, minutes, seconds, and ultimately time, just doing the right thing, you're going to get to your goal. So it's a great question though, man, because a lot of people struggle with that. And it's not something that I can genuinely tell you, here's the definitive answer, because there's a lot that goes into it.
Now, Sean, I know this is going to be a pretty rude question, but my audience, at 23, what is your net worth right now?
That's it. I mean,
you don't have to tell me exact. Give me, all right, is it 6 figures, 7, 8? You don't have to say exactly.
Yeah, I'll say this. I'm for a 23-year-old man who has his, own company with multiple partners. I'm doing well for myself, but am I going to sit here and tell you that, I'm
You're not going to self-floss. You're not going to be like, oh man, because if I'm just being honest, I see a lot of people that make it rich quick, that live the extravagant lifestyle. And I'm telling you, I'm looking at your background. It looks like that's a bed behind you that's unmade, might have some dirty laundry or something on it. Yeah. And you have, like, I don't know, maybe you got mad in the background and tried to punch a hole in your drywall there, and you kind of spackled it there. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but even though you're doing well for yourself, you don't seem like the type of person that lives an extravagant lifestyle. Would I be correct by saying that?
And I don't really want to. I think that the whole materialistic world of, these, brilliant iPhones and watches and just all this technology.
By the way, I'm wearing headphones I bought from a 7-Eleven, and I'm sure you're wearing iPod Airs or whatever. Yeah, the AirPods. So, I'm just trying to give a little bit of a comparison. And it's not a joke. I'm just saying, seriously, I bought these from a 7-Eleven last week because my headphones didn't work. But guess what? It makes it work. A lot of people don't realize this. A lot of people think they need a lot of money and need to buy the most expensive things to do a podcast. I do my whole show on my iPhone. And I'm not even talking an iPhone 12 Max or anything. I'm talking an iPhone 8 with a microphone. But I was good at audio production. So what I'm trying to say is that it's more about the content. It's about what you're offering more. Yes, it needs to sound good. It has to sound good because people are not going to put up with horrible audio. But it's more about the content. It's not about the equipment you have. Would you say that's right?
Yeah, for sure. It's the bare bones meat and potatoes. What's the raw content? A lot of people get swept up. I get a couple calls, I'm very fortunate to get a couple calls, every single month where I have a great conversation with someone I've never heard of, who they've talked and listened to the guests on my podcast. They listen to my podcast. They listen to my guests' podcast and so forth and so on. And they ask the most, obnoxious questions. They say, oh, how long should my intro be? What should my outro be? What kind of company should I work for? It's like, you have it completely wrong. You should be focusing on the segments of the actual show. What like, whether you're a comedy show, whether you're, educational, whether you're someone who's a health guru and you're trying to, get people to quit, some sort of, medication or substance. That's really the thing, is what are you going to talk about at the end of the day? It's going to be interesting. If it's interesting, people are going to listen, people are going to continue to listen, and people are going to share it with the masses. That's why Joe Rogan's so influential, because he's not, as smart as he is, he's not some type, B personality who's just going to sit on the sidelines and just be some nerd. He's a genuine average Joe, truly. And that's why I think a lot of people like him.
Listen, I'm not saying anything about Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan. I have worked in radio pretty much more than half of my life. Right now, the rankings when it comes to audio content, Howard Stern is still number one. Then you
Best.
have Joe Rogan behind him. Okay, but I can see some people starting to turn a little bit on Rogan. Like, I hate when this happens. When I do my podcast, I'm a big football fan, not the American football, soccer. I call the people that consume my content my supporters because they are just as important as I am. Because without them telling the people, their friends, their family, their loved ones, and stuff about the product, it does not grow. And they do the same exact thing with them, but I always hate when people like to use the term sellout. And I'm not calling Joe Rogan a sellout, but it's like you want to be that person on the end. Like, oh man, I discovered them first before anybody else.
Sure.
And now that they're popular, oh, Rogan's forgetting about his listener. I think a lot of people got pissed off because he kind of towed the line on the Trump thing a little bit. He never fully came out and said, oh, I support Trump. But there was a lot of things that he kind of agreed with Trump on.
Yeah. And in terms of politics, I mean, you have to understand while the election was going on, he signed a $100 million deal with Spotify, right?
Yep.
So put yourself in Rogan's shoes. Are you going to not risk, because it's a set deal, but are you going to risk potential viewership just based off of, whether you're going to vote Trump or Biden? I mean, you'd be a moron to really just divulge that information because and again, it's a cliffhanger too. Subconsciously, you tune in for a multitude of reasons, whether you're going to hear about Rogan talk about MMA, you're going to hear him talk to Neil deGrasse Tyson about the universe and galaxies and DMT and all this crazy stuff.
Oh, dude, I so want to try DMT because of Rogan, but like I have some mental problems and I just don't want to take that chance. But what I'm saying is I even try to stay away from politics, but sometimes stories just happen that you got to talk about. Like I try to keep things fun. I look at my podcast, even when I was on the radio, it's our job to give people an escape or to be able to help them learn something, to be able to better their lives. Because when you talk about politics or even sports, you're going to divide your audience, no doubt.
Yeah. And here's the thing, you're going to definitely divide the audience, but I feel that it's your obligation to give 2 points of view so your audience can say, oh yeah, like even though you're a Brady fan, you still give credit to, oh my God, the fact that
he's
Patrick
great.
Mahomes is one of the greatest, most talented quarterbacks we've seen in the 2000 era. I mean, you're 40 years old. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, no, I am.
But
No, dude. Like I said, lifelong Dolphins fan, big Marino fan. The Patriots were in the same division as the Dolphins, so yeah, I kind of hated Brady. But now, Sean, let's talk a little bit about your beginning. So, what got your foot in the door? What got the ball rolling? What made you your first huge hunk of cash starting out?
So I really come from, like I said, a privileged background, but needless to say, I truly worked for everything I have. I mean, it goes back to when I would volunteer to, there was a group originally that I did called SAD, SADD, Students, what is it? Students Against Destructive Decisions.
I was going to say driving.
Yeah, it's something, it's again, similar to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, the whole motto was about going to these people who have been in crazy accidents, who have substance abuses, and really learning from them and helping them. That was my first true calling of just, oh, like I need to listen to these people and understand what they're teaching me.
Was it an internship?
Yeah, well, it was a club / internship that turned into ultimately an internship when I was in high school. So I had
Because I tell people that's how I got started in radio. Like the internship is so underappreciated
And
in
everyone wants to
business.
get paid. Everyone wants to get paid and say, oh my God, we need to get paid for this. What ultimately led me to discovering who I wanted to be, I wanted to be an engineer. I wanted to be a mechanical electro engineer who at Penn State at the time, I was looking at an 80,
Oh, go Lions.
Yeah, exactly, man. Starting salary. And listen, who doesn't love 85K coming out of school? But that
Of course.
being said,
You got to put in your time. You got to put in your time. You got to show your worth. A lot of people don't realize that. I mean, I worked almost a year and a half as an internship. Like, I mean, for free. And even after my internship was over with, I was like, all right, what can I do? What can I help you out behind the scenes? You just want to constantly learn and learn and learn. And what I tell people about this podcast that I like the most is that it's new to me. I'm doing things that I did when I first started out in broadcasting, doing the editing, scheduling guests. Luckily, I have a great producer right now, but I'm having to do show prep, think of angles and stuff. And it reminds me, everybody has that dream when they're younger. And that journey is the cool part. Now, when you get to that finish line, are you still going to stay hungry? Are you still going to do this? Are you still going to do that? But that journey, I mean, am I weird by saying that journey when you're learning, you're hungry, you're busting your ass, you're going the extra mile and stuff is the good stuff, in my opinion.
I agree. And that's the thing, is everyone's searching for this end result, but I truly think that the journey is the most important and most fun part, because you don't have all the answers. You're just looking to the glorious times when, you fucking can take a month off.
Yeah.
No problem. Go to Mexico, go to Spain, wherever you want to go and just relax on the beach. Sure, that's fun. But let's be honest, as great as that sounds, you're going to get bored just drinking all the time and, going to clubs and do this. So it's like, what genuinely makes you happy? For me, honestly, I've always been fascinated with martial arts. I love it. I love the UFC. I love Bellator. Obviously, my name, Sean Boyle. I'm a big, Irish fan of McGregor. And
my favorite director is Danny Boyle. That did Train Spotting, Slumdog Millionaire, 28 Days Later. But yeah, so I mean, as soon as I saw the last name Boyle, see this. All right, we're talking about journeys, okay? So talking about Danny Boyle, I was an intern, but no, I was a part-time intern. I think they gave me 15 hours a week, and I started booking guests. And this is before Danny Boyle became famous. I went to my host. I was like, you got to get this guy on. He did this movie, Train Spotting. It is brilliant. Everybody is saying that this is going to be an Oscar-worthy movie. And then I kept hounding him. He's like, okay, yeah. I'll do the interview, okay? So they have Danny Boyle on. And usually when a host does not like a guest, it'll be like 10, 15 minutes, but they had him on for almost like 40 minutes. And then about 6 months later, Danny Boyle wins Best Director, Best Picture for Slumdog Millionaire. And my host comes in, the first thing he says to me is like, hey, do you still have that Danny Boyle interview that we did? Because we want to play it. And I'm like, oh, yeah, thanks, man. You fought me for almost a month trying to get him on the show. And now, since he's the best director winner and best picture director, you want to have him on now. But I got a little bit of satisfaction out of that.
Yeah, that's so funny, man. That's a great story. I wish I could call him my uncle or something, because who doesn't love Slumdog Millionaire? You know what I mean? One of the best movies ever.
Yeah, exactly. And I like that because, I think media, I think movies, TVs, everything is going more of the pirate radio type days where people can make a name for themselves and stuff. But one of the things I wanted to talk to you before I let you go, Twitter, Facebook, all those social media, they're private businesses. Okay. Now, back when our forefathers wrote our Bill of Rights, Constitution, all that good stuff, they never thought in a million years, hey, guess what, man? There's going to be this there's going to be this box where we'll be able to watch moving pictures and get our news and stuff. They didn't write that in there, but they had to make new rules for the media, the TV and stuff. A lot of people made a big deal about Donald Trump being banned from Twitter, banned from Facebook, all those things. I am the biggest believer in absolute freedom of speech. One of the bases is the protection of unpopular speech.
Sure, I agree.
Should something be done, do the social media platforms need to be regulated like TV, radio is by the FCC?
I mean, that's a loaded question, but I'm not going to answer that like a fucking politician. I'll just tell you what I think.
No. Yeah, I mean, I want to hear the realness, and that's why I wanted to talk to you, because I was like, when I looked at Sean Boyle, I was like, that is a rugged dude. He is a man's man, 23, making me feel like bad about my life choices and stuff.
Oh my God, stop, dude.
These are just jokes, okay? By the way, but what I'm trying to say is, I was like, all right, this guy's going to be real. He's going to bring it. He's going to be himself. So, yeah, it's a hard question, but I would really like to hear what you got to say.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Twitter, you look at all these, Facebook, Instagram, and I agree 100%. You need to have some sort of, like, especially with bullying, especially with all these things going on, right? Like terrorist attacks,
But here, can I stop you here real quick though?
Sure.
I hate the bullying and stuff, but when you decide to create an account, you're basically making yourself a public figure, just like a celebrity. And public figures have to play by a different set of rules because you're putting yourself out there. When you sign up for a social media account, that comes with the territory. I mean, am I being callous by saying that?
No, and it's like what I was going to finish is, you look at people that are, doing all these hate speeches, right? Now, to a degree, should you, do you have the freedom to express your point of view however you want to do it? Yes, I do. But I also believe that I don't expect anyone to do anything about it. So whether that's hate speech, whether that's, you're trying to invoke some sort of a movement, if you aren't, if you don't have an army, if you're not making a good point, you expect anybody to really do anything about it? Again, that's two sides of the spectrum there. That's whether you're the one who's doing bullying, whether you're the one who's getting bullied. It's like, what are you going to do about it? What is the whole, conclusion here? And furthermore, it's pathetic, like companies like Robinhood, where if you're following that whole GameStop and AMC, have these bullshit, crooked fucking Wall Street jerk-offs essentially cap their buying potential and not stop them from selling. That's the real criminality in, to put it in a real world example that literally fucking happened last week. It's criminal and they should all be locked up.
All right, I'm getting the wrap up. Sean, can we basically talk off the air, because I got to tell you, I would love to collaborate with you on some stuff. But you bring up a great point. Back in 2008, I mean, we bailed out all the banks. We the housing crisis, the bubble bursting there. What makes me sick is our country, and I did my research, and I hope I'm not going to offend you on this. I know that you're a Catholic. Sure. I find it absolutely disgusting that our country, and I hope I'm not offending you, but them bailing out, the Catholic Church got a lot of personal protection loans that could have been going to small businesses and stuff. I think the normal, everyday, working class, blue collar people, I think that's why they resent the powerful and the rich. Am I off by saying that? Like when you see that type of stuff going on?
Well, I definitely agree that those. I mean, I'm aware of what you're talking about, and I mean, as a small business owner to another small business owner, where do I think that money should have gone? It should go to small businesses. Now, how much? What was the loan? How much?
It was $4.4 million that the Catholic Church in the United States, and I know that's not a lot compared to what the Catholic Church is worth. But if churches are not paying taxes, they have no business getting tax money from American citizens, in my opinion.
I agree they should be taxed as well. I think that the whole, I don't know why they're not. I mean, I would have to read, some tax section, but
Joel Osteen. Yeah. That guy does not need 2 private jets. He doesn't need all those fancy cars. He doesn't need those $1,000 suits. I think his congregation, his church is like 48,000. It seats almost 40,000.
That's the Southern priest, or not priest.
Yeah. In Houston. Yeah. Now he brings in all that money, and they had that big hurricane. Guess what? He couldn't be bothered to do. He couldn't be bothered to open up his doors and help out the community. So then why are we just forking money over to these people and they're not paying taxes? I find it ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pathetic. I mean, I could talk about this for hours, man, but it's just, again, it's allocating to the businesses that need it the most. And I think a lot of people, they're just trying to grab.
Pittsburgh Penguins got $2.3 million. How is that fair?
It's not fair. And again, there's always a bigger picture. There's always a story. I would want to know just as much as I can about that story and make my own decision. It's hard to just read a headline and
no. I get. And I'm sorry to put you on the spot, Sean. Tell people how they can follow you on social media. What's your website and stuff? Where can they follow you? Because I want to pick your brain, because I know that you're helping out a lot of people when it comes to social media and stuff. I could sit there and pick your brain for hours about what I'm doing wrong. I kind of look at you as like the next Gary V or something, a little Gary Vaynerchuk, that young guy, that's hustling and stuff.
Yeah, I try. Listen, dude, I have as much energy as Gary. It's just these things. I love them. I love entrepreneurship. I love small businesses. I love helping business owners. If you want to find me, SeanBoyle.com. You can find all my content on there, social media. Just make it easy, SeanBoyle.com.
Hey, Sean. Man, I highly enjoyed this. I hope you do as well. It's kind of concerning that my voice must be so annoying that you pulled out the AirPods in your ear. So
I was on a call right before that. I'm like, are these things still in? Okay.
All right, Sean. Hey, man, I appreciate the time, and I look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you, my brother. Likewise.
From the Vapor Shades Hobo Fish Camp.
Man, maybe I would have way more sex partners in my life if I just threw caution to the wind.
It's the Tuddle Daily Podcast. Tuddle's Daily Podcast is brought to you by StitchYouUp.com. For your embroidery, screen printing, vinyl, and direct-to-garment printing needs, visit StitchYouUp.com. Stitch You Up specializes in custom caps, shirts, decals, and anything you want to personalize. Whether it's one item or large orders, they can handle any size. Unsure about what you want? Let Stitch You Up help you with your logo design. Visit StitchYouUp.com or contact them, Eric at StitchYouUp.com. Stitch You Up. Definitely not your grandma's embroidery. Nerd. Radio personality and hot talk satirizer. You're listening to the Tuddle Podcast.
All right, guys. Last segment of the day. Make sure you check out my live stream tonight. Follow my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Tuddle. I will be going live every night, Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Once again, I want to hear who would you like to have or who would you like to see or hear on my show. Email me, Tuddle@gmail.com, or leave me a voicemail, 407-270-3044. All right, guys. Yeah, it's a rooster. Guys, so my producer, Vulture, came down. You hear him talking. And I told him, no, it's not yeah, it is a rooster. This might be the most Volusia County, and that is a big white cock, if I were, and that's, I'm not trying to be dirty, but that's a pretty big one. And look at he is a tamed rooster now. He's bowing up, man. He's sizing me up there. Did you see how he put out the feathers there? Here, hand me one of those oranges. Peel it real quick. I want to see if he'll eat a little citrus. And he's banded too, though. Look at, I swear to God, if you spur me, oh man, he destroyed that. Look at that. But you can tell he's got the band on him, though.
And that's the show for today. Thanks for listening to the Tuddle Daily Podcast. Hey, don't be a dickhead. Do us a favor. Like, share, and subscribe to the show. Also, check out the Tuddle category at 315live.com. The Tuddle Daily Podcast is brought to you by the Vapor Shades Hobo Fish Camp. Do you want some cool-ass sunglasses? Check out vaporshades.com. Also brought to you by Starfire Transport, StitchYouUp.com, PocketPairClub.com. Special thanks to show intern Hannah and Charlie Alamo for their contributions. Additional imaging and production is provided by CCA Productions. Facebook.com/CCA Productions Presents. Show voiceover service is brought to you by JCVoiceover.com. That guy's got a damn sexy voice. You should hire him. Check out jcvoiceover.com. If you want to help support the show, go to paypal.me/TuddleOnTheRadio. Comments? Concerns? Or do you just want to let Tuddle know he's being a dickhead? Tuddle@gmail.com. That's Tuddle with 2 Ds at gmail.com. Leave a voicemail at 407-270-3044. To follow all of Tuddle's social media, go to Tuddle.net. Thanks again for all your support, and we'll see you tomorrow on the Tuddle Daily Podcast.
Hey, yo, Terry, what going on?